Record.
Okay, guys, hello. So we are here to present our emerging practice project in our professional advocacy and leadership class. The practice area that we are presenting on is DIR floor time. And this is an approach that correlates with our profession very well for children with autism as well as other developmental challenges. Oh, may you turn the slide, Bridget? My name is Jasmine Hadrick.
And I am Bridget Jost.
Okay, so a brief introduction. Imagine trying to learn, play, or even connect in a world that feels too loud, too bright, or even too overwhelming. For children with autism or developmental challenges, this is basically their everyday reality. As an occupational therapy practitioner, we are uniquely equipped to help children who struggle with these type of things. By combining our expertise with the DIR floor time model, we foster emotional connection, support, as well as we empower the kids and their families. So throughout our webinar, we will be showing you how to integrate the DIR floor time into our profession, occupational therapy, so that way we can strengthen your practice as well as help children truly feel seen and supported.
Okay, so during our webinar today, we have a handout to help you kind of follow through the different objectives that we are going to cover for our DRI floor time. And so on the top of this page, there is a link. And if you would want to click, you will be able to get access to the handout and you can print it. Or if you want to just take notes while having a visual of the handout, that's up to you. So I will just give you a second to click that link and be able to use it. So we'll just give you a little time. Okay, is everyone good? Okay, great. Here we go. So DRI floor time. So we're going to just define a little bit of the terms. So DRI floor time model is D, I, and R. And the D stands for developmental. The I is for individual differences. And R is relationship based. And DRI floor time was developed by Stanley Greenspan and Serena Wider. And this video here is going to give you a little overview of what DRI floor time is before we start to discuss it a little farther in this presentation.
Is there audio, Bridget?
Can you not hear it?
I can.
Okay. So that gives you just kind of a brief overview of what we're going to be discussing during our seminar today. Ooh, I just want to go to the next slide. Okay. So with the DRI floor time approach, there are different credentials within kind of the DRI floor time. There is 4 levels of the professional certificate program. And before you begin kind of building your credentials and the different certificates through the program, you need to complete the introductory class, which is the DRI 101 Introductory to DRI Floor Time. And this is required before, again, entering into like the professional certificate program, where there'll be an additional 4 classes that you can take. And with this, there is the opportunity for earning continuing ed credits, and AOTA, which is an association with occupational therapists, will then be able to provide different continuing ed credits. And I believe for the first class, you can earn up to 11 credits, which is outstanding. And the 2 courses that we are going to focus on during this is the introductory class and then the basic certificate. And so for these certifications, it is kind of progressive. So again, you must complete the 1 course to then move on to the next course. And each of the classes offers an opportunity to be assessed, and there's a rubric that is followed. And each person that takes the course must earn a passing rate to then earn the official certificate for the class. And just a kind of brief overview of the classes, the introductory class reviews kind of the theoretical framework and the scientific evidence for DII floor time, and specifically working with individuals who have autism, and the scope of application for functional emotional development capacities, reflective thinking is also overviewed, and also just overall like the mental health for all children and adults that have developmental disabilities, and that this approach can be applicable for. And the next course, the basic certificate. So once you complete then the introductory class, you are granted then to then participate in this class. And this class is more focused on the building of like the basic functional, emotional, developmental capacities. And so they help participants develop the competencies to promote the first 4 functional emotional development capacities. And those are what are focused on during the class. And this includes engagement, purposeful reciprocal communication, sense of self, and problem solving, all based on the child's inner will and their motivation and what they're motivated by. And then learning how to apply these principles during the actual floor time, playtime, and basing the intervention based on the child's individual differences and making it client-centered and individualized. And then we move on to the next part.
So next we will discuss our objectives. So our presentation has 3 objectives. Number 1 is for you guys to define how occupational therapy integrates self-regulation into the DIR full-time curriculum. The second objective is for you guys to identify 3 play-based strategies that promote relationship-centered parent-child development. And the last objective is for you guys to list 3 steps to become a basic certified DIR floor time expert. So the first objective focuses on how our profession, occupational therapy, just integrates self-regulation within the DIR floor time curriculum. So the DIR floor time, it encourages us as therapists to meet the children where they are developmentally and emotionally by engaging through sensory-rich play. As we know, children learn best through play, so this aligns perfectly. As clinicians, We use tools like swings, weighted objects, different tactile manipulatives or activities just to help regulate those kids' arousal levels, help them sustain their attention, as well as just to promote calming engagement for them. These sensory integration techniques align directly with the OT role in supporting their regulation. But regulation is not just sensory, it's also relational. The DIR floor time model emphasizes emotional connection as well as co regulation through playful interaction. Like I stated in the beginning, kids learn through play. That is their number one occupation. As OTs, we should model calm, responsive behavior to help kids learn how to regulate their own emotions over time, leading by example. This co regulation lays the foundation for future independent self regulation that the child needs. So, together, sensory based strategies as well as relationship based attunement reflects how occupational therapy supports the development of self regulation within the DIR floor time approach.
Trying to go to the next slide.
Okay, the second objective. So here I listed um, a few different points about, I'm sorry, about ways you can identify play-based strategies that promote relationship-centered parent-child development. So if you want to look through them. So developed by Stanley Greenspan, this model focuses on connecting with children at their unique developmental level through emotionally meaningful play-based interactions. This approach also shows skills like joint attention, emotional connection, as well as purposeful two-way communication, which, like I stated before, is the foundation for self-regulation and developmental growth. So building on this model, the play-based project, it trains parents to deliver 15 hours of play-based therapy each week. And in a pilot study that we found, children whose parents received this coaching, they showed significant gains in their social emotional functioning, with 45% making good to very good progress at the functional emotional assessment scale. The play project also um, is cost efficient, averaging about 2,500 per year, which is a lot less than traditional intensive therapies. So together, the DIR floor time as well as the play project demonstrate how parent-led, developmentally focused interventions can make a meaningful difference for children with autism, offering support that's not only effective, but is also accessible to the families. Give me 1 second, Bridget. So if we just kind of want to look at the slide, I included more than 3 strategies, but like I stated, play-based strategies promote the relationship. So these are just some things going into a little bit more depth on why they're impactful for the kid. Next slide. Okay, so this slide focuses on the steps to becoming certified as a DIR expert. So the first step is to create an account on the ICDL website to access their learning and their platform as well as all their resources. Next, like Bridget stated, would be to complete the DIR 101 Introduction to DIR Floor Time. And this course just basically outlines like the core principles of the model. Step 3 focuses on enrollment in the next course, which is the basic certification course. This is a 12-week program that includes live weekly sessions. They also do video case reviews, and they have an expert coaching you so that way you can ask questions or have comments if need. Step 4 is submit the required assignments. So throughout the course, you will submit assignments, or you'll have assignments, excuse me, including video recordings as well as written reflections that demonstrate your ability to apply the strategies within the DIR floor time model into practice. And finally, step 5, you will work to be reviewed by an evaluator who will provide you with feedback on how you're integrating the DIR floor time into your practice. So once all the requirements are met, you'll earn a certificate and be recognized as a basic DIR floor time provider. I think this certification is a great foundation for clinicians who are looking to deepen their impact as well as their knowledge on supporting kids with disabilities and their emotional and their developmental growth.
So why OTs and why specifically in this area of practice? So OT practitioners, like Jasmine and I will be, are qualified professionals in providing evidence-based practices like this one, with guidance from supportive documentation and staying within our scope of OT practice. So 2 documents that we thought would be supportive of this is the OT practice framework and the occupational therapy scope of practice. For the OT PF, it focuses on being client-centered, and this aligns with the DRI floor time approach, where we're trying to make the interventions client-centered and individualized to the needs of the clients that we are working with in particular, and tailoring it to those individual differences and their abilities, and focusing on their play and social interaction as well as their emotional regulation. And for the OT therapy scope of practice, this document identifies the use of therapeutic play and developmental strategies, as well as sensory integration techniques in pediatric occupational therapy, which all aligns with the DRI floor time approach.
So our role, so I'm sorry, my screen is having project problems. So how do we as clinicians play a role in this? So occupational therapists play an important role in using play to support children's emotional, social, and developmental growth through approaches like the DIR floor time and the play project, excuse me. They are trained to understand a child's sensory, motor, and emotional needs and to use fun, play-based activities that match the child's specific developmental level. By coaching parents as well as encouraging child-led play, us as clinicians can help children build important skills like communication, attention, and self-regulation. These approaches give families simple as well as effective tools that can help that they can use at home, excuse me. And it makes them a great fit for pediatric practices. Next slide. Yeah. Sorry.
There we go. Okay. All right. Well, thanks everyone again for being here, and hopefully you're enjoying our presentation so far. So for the current state of OT practice in this area, so specifically for this webinar, I know that there's individuals from all over in different states and stuff, so we're going to focus on Wisconsin for this, as that is where we are currently from. So for OT practice in the state of Wisconsin, it is required that you are licensed. So after we pass the boards and everything, then we receive our license in Wisconsin, and then there's no other standards or regulations based off of Wisconsin licensure. But for DIR floor time, you are required again to complete the first class, which is the 101. And that again, you can get your CE credits, which helps with your keeping your licensure in the state of Wisconsin, and you can earn up to 11 credits, like I mentioned before. And for the DRF floor time to receive that certification, you need to complete the class in person, and you must complete the entire duration of the course. There are other, I didn't mention this before, but there are other options, which is like hybrid, in person, or online. But for this specifically in the state of Wisconsin, you need to be in person for this. And then you can continue to build again with the completion of those other courses. So the basic course, which is what we have covered for today. In addition, to the other classes, which is 202, 203, and 204. And if you go through the website, which is listed in a references section, they'll be able to give you more detail of what those classes entail. And yeah, there's nothing else in addition, but again, to keep building our skills and our knowledge, it would be an advantage for us to take those other classes.
Most definitely.
Okay, so now to kind of tie this in with kind of OT legislation. So the AOTA has proposed each year they highlight different legislation that they are trying to advocate for at our national and state governments. And so specifically, I selected two to focus on in connection to DIR floor time and current legislation that's being proposed by AOTA that is being focused on. And again, this can impact individuals. It could also impact groups, such as children in a certain state or children that have disabilities, and also populations too. So again, this could be the entire population of the United States or the entire population of a certain state. So for this one, we are focused on the schools and early intervention. And this is focusing on continuing support of having OTPs within school and early childhood intervention settings. Current legislation is trying to pull OTs as they think they are not necessarily at this time. And DRI floor time is effective in improving a child's development and their occupational engagement through play and social participation. So it is important to then being able to generalize these skills not only at home, but also into school settings as well and in the community. Two, so decreasing accessibility of school and early intervention can have a detrimental effect in children in participating in these services and the opportunities for their growth and their development, whether it be physical, social, emotional, cognitive. So these are all necessary things that OTs need to do. This would also decrease opportunities for children and their families from participating in those play opportunities and being provided by a trained professional rather than someone that doesn't have the qualifications for providing this approach. And then this would also be a barrier to improving their social development, which is huge for children, and being able to interact with others and play with others, and also developing those relationships with their parents as well. And then the next one that I focused on was the expansion of telehealth services. So this is something that has been unique and kind of just fell on our laps when COVID happened, and using RT flexibility and figuring out how to provide those services in a different medium. So expansion of the Telehealth Act would be beneficial to all children with and without disabilities, and family members that are seeking OT services. This act in particular would allow therapists to expand their services to covering a better and greater range, to work with children and families in maybe not in urban, but more in rural areas. And also to provide this intervention specifically within a child's home is crucial. And it being able to see specifically what the child participates in with the toys that they play with or objects that they interact with, and seeing this within their home context and a context that they feel very comfortable and safe in. And so then they may be more willing to have a therapist interact and more of their family members interact because they're in a place that is safe for them. And the therapist then can make recommendations based off of what they see in their home environment. And they can also identify those barriers that may be decreasing and limiting their participation in play and socially with interacting with their family members or the therapist or other caregivers or friends that may possibly come and interact and have play dates with them. And then children and family really can continue to develop that relationship and building a stronger foundation for their family unit and strengthening that bond, which will then be able to translate in helping them, family members being able to help their children in other avenues and other occupations in their life as well. Also, the Telehealth Act helps too if children are sick, and this allows therapists to still interact with the child and their family so they keep that consistency in those sessions and keeping the consistency of this approach because that's important to keep building a stronger foundation for success in this. And then also it opens up, let's say that a family lives in a specific spot in the state that they don't have a specialized DIR trained professional. So this gives an opportunity for someone maybe that's a family that's located up in, we'll just say northern Wisconsin, for example, but there's a trained professional more in the Milwaukee and Madison area. So they'd be able to still provide that Zoom and that telehealth access and being able to provide those services. Just again, those families then don't have to try to figure out how to access transportation and traveling to a different part of the state. It can still just happen right within their homes. And then this still continues the bond of building those relationships and connections between children and their families and OT services. And then eventually, the things that they learned in this DRI can then be generalized across all different settings in improving the participation of the child in different occupations that are meaningful and important to them.
Bridget, if you don't mind, would you please go back to objective 2, just to piggyback off of what you were talking about telehealth services?
Sure.
So I just kind of want to go back over this slide because I just feel
For
like,
this one,
yes,
or
this one, yes.
okay.
So just specifically on your handout, you were to identify some play-based strategies. Some of them includes following the child's lead, whether that's the parent or the therapist. Like Bridget said, this can be implemented in the at-home setting as well as the clinic setting. Shared attention and joint engagement. This is also a tech strategy that can be implemented with the telehealth services by the parents could be being coached virtually on the DIR floor time approach to support early social communication, as well as co-regulation through play. So during play, the parent mirrors the child's emotions and then they gradually introduce calming strategies. All these things can be done with the therapist or the DIR floor expert virtually. I just wanted to piggyback off of that.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, are you good for me to keep going? Okay. So we discussed a lot of different things today, and we hope that you learned some new things that can continue to advance those OT skills or families that are interested in pursuing this approach. Hopefully, we were able to give you some supportive evidence of why this would be beneficial for your children. And so at this time, then we are, oops, sorry, my cat. We are going to have you do the post assessment.
Mhm.
And then Jasmine, I don't know if you want to give any more details about the assessment at all.
The assessment is just three brief questions, just about how you felt our presentation went and kind of piggybacking off of some of the topics on the handout.
Great. So we'll give you a few seconds to go ahead and click that and then go ahead and fill it out for us, please, if you would like.
Okay. Well, we thank you guys so much for joining us. To all the practitioners who are interested in working with peds, we hope that you implement or just even look into this emergent practice area. Bridget and I both are peds therapists and found this very interesting and plan on possibly looking into becoming a provider. So thank you guys again for listening.
Thank you so much, and we hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.